Hey guys, it's Tiff from Tiff's Fish here, and today I'm going to be telling you guys how I built my 40-gallon Betta sorority. Since this is a Betta sorority, I want it to be heavily planted to give the girls enough space to hide from each other. So for the substrate, I'm using UNS Contra soil, and I picked this substrate because it's highly nutritious and it grows plants very well. Next, I'm using an aquarium spatula to even out all of that substrate. Here, I'm moving some of the contra soil to the side because I'm going to be adding sand here. Once I was done moving my contra soil around, I added in my hardscape. The hardscape I'm using is spiderwood and river rocks. Next, I added some carob sea sand to this area. Here, I'm adding some Rio Shingu to add a little bit of detail. I'm sorry, I know I'm mispronouncing that, but I will have it written on the screen for you guys. Once I was satisfied with how the hardscape looked, I added in a little bit of water and I began planting. I typically like to plant taller plants in the back and shorter plants in the front. That's why I'm placing a lot of these swords in the back, because they do get quite tall. I am adding a lot of plants to this tank, so I will have a full plant list in the description below. I apologize for this next part, my camera died and I didn't notice. But all I did was continue planting, and then I filled my tank up with water. 2 weeks later, my tank was finished cycling, so I went and picked up some female betta fish. This is the first group of females that I picked up today, and tomorrow I'm going to be picking up a second group. Once I have all of the females, I will release them all at once, and I'm going to quarantine all of them in this tank. Here's a full shot of what the tank looks like at the 2-week mark. As you can see, my plants have started to fill in a little bit. After I bought the second group of girls, I went ahead and released everyone at the same time. For anyone wondering, yes, I do keep a lid on this tank. It's not the prettiest lid, but it gets the job done. To make this lid, I just used some aquarium netting and binder clips. Alright, it has been almost 2 months since my tank has been set up. As you can see, the plants have grown in nicely and the tank looks very lush, which is the look I was going for. I have 12 females in this betta sorority and they're all doing pretty well. Once they establish their hierarchy, there should be minimal aggression. For the filtration, I am using a 75-gallon sponge filter. This is a pretty bad angle because the left side of my tank is pretty close to the wall, but you can see that I do have the sponge filter in the corner there. I am using 3 lights on this tank. 2 of them are Lomini Asta 20, and 1 of them is a Fluval Nano Plant Light. Since I am keeping betta fish in this tank, I want my water to be around 78 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. To achieve this temperature, I am using a 150-watt marine land heater. I want to reiterate that a plant list will be in the description below, but I will try to go through as many plants as I can. Starting with the terrestrial plants, I am keeping peace lilies on this tank. The roots are submerged into the water, but the rest of the plant is out of water. To hang the peace lilies on the back of my tank, I just used some twist ties and binder clips. I wrapped the twist ties around the peace lily and then I tied it onto the binder clip. Then all you have to do is clip this onto your aquarium. On the left side of my tank, I have tiger lotus, anubias, swords, crypts, dwarf sagittaria, and kabamba. On the right side, it's pretty much the same plants: tiger lotus, anubias, swords, crypts, and dwarf sagittaria. There is also some water wisteria in the back. Here are some close-up shots of the tiger lotus. Down here I have broadleaf sagittaria, dwarf sagittaria, and a few crypts. You can see that my tiger lotus on the right there is getting pretty big, and the fish love to swim through it. The red plants at the top there are Ludwigia. They do turn red under high light. For me, they tend to turn red near the surface of the water because that's where they're closest to the lighting. I have some narrow leaf sagittaria that's creeping up to the front here. I'll have to trim that and move it to the back. I have some Anubias Nana Petite that I glued onto the spiderwood using super glue. In this corner, you can see that the tiger lotus has reached the surface and I have some pennywort growing behind it. The floating plants I am using are Amazon frogbit, dwarf water lettuce, and Salvinia minima. Here's another shot of the Ludwigia that has reached the surface. You can see that I have water wisteria directly behind it. And then we have some Kabamba to the left. For fertilization, I dose Nylog G Thrive once a week, and I also add Seachem Flourish root tabs every 3 months. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about for the build video. If you guys have any further questions, please feel free to comment below and I'd be happy to answer them.